Oh,
He's ready.
good.
He's ready.
Okay. Let's see. Where do we begin on this thing? There's so much. So the first thing we'll do is just do a tour of the console. So this is a 48 channel console, so it can do 48. That stage rack is only 32 inputs, but you could actually have two of them, and then, or you could get a different rack, and then that way you could have all 48. But 40 or 32 is plenty for this kind of room. So on this console, you have two screens. You have this screen and this screen. Most of the time, this screen will stay the same. It'll always show your channels. So right now, you're looking at a channel strip. So that says kick, snare, and all that. You guys can move in closer too if you want, if it's hard to see. So each one of these is a channel, and it's just like on the LS9. It's done in layers. So right now, you're looking at channels 1 through 24. So that's what you're seeing right here. Okay. If you push this down arrow, you're going to go to the next layer, and then you push it again, and then these are your last input channels. So input channels are always blue, just remember that, okay? So this is your 48th channel, and then we go up, and that's your first channel. So 1 through 24.
Is that 1 through 24 or 1 through 20? Because isn't there only 20 sliders on there?
Are there? Oh yeah, you're right.
That's
thought
fine.
I miscounted.
No, that's okay. Because you went three
I thought there was
times,
12.
and so
I thought there
it's
was 12. Whoops.
so that would be 40 and then 8.
Anyway.
So that's why. Okay.
So, those are your channels right there. Channels are always in blue, okay? And up here is where you would click or push, so it's a touch screen, so all you have to do is push, and then once you push that, all your parameters pop up here for that channel, okay? So, and you don't have to like close this menu, you can just keep selecting and selecting, and you see how the channels are changing, like that. Okay, and then if you ever get stuck in a window, you just push X to X out of it. So it's really easy to get around. So if you wanted to access this channel parameters, you would just push that. So if you want to access the name, if you want to name it, you want to do any patching, or you want to do anything, or you want to turn it up in the Avions, you would do it on this menu. So this is where all your routing is done. Again, if you want to name something. So let's start with naming something. So if you want to name something, you push this, kick, and then you type in the name. Pretty easy. That'll take you to the next one, the next channel. So you can go through it a little quick. They tried to make it so you don't have to keep closing and getting in and out of the menus. So it's pretty easy that way. This right here is your patching. So this is gonna, if you want to patch something, this is where you're going to do it. You're going to push source, and then you'll see this menu pop up, and these are all the different
Still see it?
there's a chair here too. These are all the different inputs that feed this console. So there's internal stuff. So under this internal menu, you have channel outputs, graphic equalizers, effects, oscillators, and then you have local I/O. Local I/O is the physical I/O on the back of this, and then you have DMI1 MADI. That's the stage rack. So if that was operational, you would patch it from here. So if you plugged into one there, it would be MADI 1, and that's how you would patch. So if this was the kick channel and you were patching it, you would go source, DMI MADI, and then you would hit MADI 1, and then that would be patched. And that means that you would now be, the input that's feeding channel 1 would be stage rack input 1 or MADI 1. Does that make sense? So that's how you do it. Right now I just had it set to internal or local because we're going to use that snake until we can get that thing working. So that's how you patch. So it's pretty simple. ASEBU, that's if you plugged in, that's 2-track digital audio, but you guys aren't using that in this kind of environment. UB MADI, that's the USB audio coming from the computer. So track 1 would appear here on USB in 1, okay? Because when we switch between getting audio from the stage rack during a rehearsal or something, and then when we switch it when we want to get audio from the computer, this is where it's telling you. So if you look here, you see source and then this microphone 1, that just means local I/O, analog, microphone input 1, and that's going into all the that's going into the signal chain of the console. That's what that arrow means. Recording send, remember how we said it was a split right off the mic pre? That means we're gonna also record, we're gonna send that to USB out 1, okay? And USB out 1 appears here. Interface, input 1, okay? The recording return, so we're returning from the computer, that's USB in 1 as well, which is output 1, okay? And now to switch between the two, all you have to do is push this and you'll notice the arrow will reroute. So now it's saying instead of the internal I/O feeding that channel, the computer is going to feed it. The USB audio is going to feed it. Okay? So that's all it is. We're going to set up a button later so that you don't have to go through and do it. You just push one button and it does it to everything.
Okay.
So we'll do that.
It's a macro then, or?
The macro, yep.
Okay.
Yep. So, real cool. So that's the that's kind of the routing in a way. Okay. So that's that tab. Input processing. This is just showing you the signal chain of how things are going through the console. You can actually you can get to the EQ that way if you wanted. So if you wanted to get to the channel EQ, you can do it this way by pushing that, and then this will bring you to a menu. So right now you're in the dynamic section. If you push this down, you go to the equalizer, and then you go to, oh, sorry, that was high pass filter, low pass filter, equalizer, dynamics 1, dynamics 2, and then this is dynamics 2. So you can get to everything, and you see how it layers the menus. So if you just push X, you can get out of it. So that way you can get to, if you want to mix from this window, you can do that, but you don't really need to, because if you wanted to do an EQ, you would just push the EQ square on the channel.